Hello everyone, welcome to Oracle of the Central Sun. I am Michelle. This video is about the full moon in Sagittarius. This is either on the 10th or 11th of June. In South Africa, this falls on the 11th of June at 9:44 in the morning. So welcome to my channel. Welcome if you're new. Welcome back if you've been here before. Please share your likes. Please share this video if you find value here. It helps my business to grow. I really appreciate it. And I will leave a link to my website below if you want to make use of any of my services. I offer healing services, astrology services, and some other interesting esoteric energy related services on my website. So we've had quite a time lately. It's been quite emotional. So many solar emissions, so many high energy opportunities for change and expansion, but it's also quite interesting on how this affects our physical being and how it affects our emotional being. So take care of yourself. These are interesting times. We're all growing, expanding super fast. And with this full moon in Sagittarius, Sagittarius is a fire sign. Fire is always a faster moving energy. And there's also some fast developments that can happen at the time of this full moon. So a full moon is always a time of like endings, of things coming to light, of culminations, of reaching goals. So this is a time where we can look at what has grown and what now needs to change in the future. So the full moon is happening at 20 degrees 39 minutes of Sagittarius. You can find where this falls in your chart and which house this represents for you. The sun at the full moon is always in the opposite sign. So the sun is sitting at 20 degrees 39 of Gemini. So Sagittarius is ruled by the planet Jupiter. So the ruler of this full moon is Jupiter. We have a brand new energy happening with Jupiter, as Jupiter was just traveling in the house of Gemini for the last year. And now, just 2 days before this full moon, on the 9th of June, Jupiter has changed signs. So Jupiter is now in the sign of Cancer. Jupiter is much more comfortable in the sign of Cancer. Jupiter is able to bring its gifts in a much more easier and expansive way. Jupiter can do great things in Gemini, but it's a little bit harder because it's not a sign where Jupiter is super comfortable in. So Cancer is known as a sign where Jupiter is exalted. So this means it's very at home. It can really bring its gifts. And Jupiter is all about expansion. It is about newness, expanding into the new. It's about optimism. It's about prosperity. It's about knowledge and our belief systems. It's about your general philosophy of the world. It's also about justice and faith. So all of these things in the house of Cancer, where Cancer falls for you in your chart, will now start experiencing a new sense of optimism and expansion and prosperity, and new things will arrive, and even new belief systems can be developed and new philosophies about life. So this is a brand new energy for us at this time. So Cancer is that sign where it's watery, it's emotional, it's all about our hearts, it's about what we love, it's about home, it's about family, it's about the flow of our emotional energy and our emotional body. So this full moon can definitely be quite emotional. Um, what is interesting about this full moon is that there's actually a mutual reception between Jupiter and the moon. And what this means in astrology is that the moon is sitting in Jupiter's sign and Jupiter is sitting in the moon sign. So Cancer is ruled by the moon and Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. And mutual reception basically means that it's very easy for them to communicate. It's very easy for this full moon to bring the benefits of what Jupiter can now bring in the sign of Cancer that maybe it couldn't bring while it was in the sign of Gemini. So this mutual reception is a beautiful energy that's happening at the time of this full moon, and we can definitely make use of this energy at this time. And another brand new energy that is happening at the time of this full moon is the fact that Saturn, just on the 25th of May, also now moved into the sign of Aries and is sitting very, very close to Neptune. And Neptune moved into the sign of Aries on the 31st of March. So basically Saturn and Neptune in Aries are both still brand new energies. And this is a point of tension at the time of this full moon, because Jupiter at the start of Cancer is forming a square to Saturn and Neptune, both at the 0 and 1 degrees of Aries. So a square is a more tension-like energy, a tension that kind of enhances and forces us to grow in certain aspects that when a square energy is not happening, we may have been able to avoid. But when that tension is happening in the square, it kind of helps us and forces us to look at things, to grow in ways that we didn't do before. So Saturn and Neptune together bring a very interesting energy, because they are almost like opposites. Saturn is very solid. Saturn is very slow and almost like a barrier or a barricade. And Neptune is very expansive. Neptune is very cosmic-like and dream-like and almost illusionary and elusive to the touch. So Neptune is elusive and Saturn is very solid and material and set in 3D reality. So we are dealing with these opposite energies at the moment at the start of the sign of Aries, which is quite a challenging energy, because Neptune is that element that can really help us to look at our dreams from a very cosmic and open perspective and tune into our intuition. And when Saturn is also in the mix, yes, from a positive perspective, it can help us to bring our dreams into reality. But often Saturn will show us where there are barriers that we need to cross. So often when Saturn shows up, it actually brings a time of challenge and hardship, because it's like the universe is saying, how much do you really want this? And not in an awful or negative way. It really just helps our own evolution and it helps us to grow. So there may be moments at the time of this full moon where we really tap into those places where we might feel stuck, or where we might feel a barricade, or we might receive a no from the universe. And it is really asking us with this square to Jupiter to look at where we want to expand, yes, but also maybe look at where our philosophy, our belief systems need to shift in order for us to get to where we would like to go. So these are all very, very important things at this time that we can work on. Look at your belief systems. Look at where you place your faith, maybe in the wrong things or the wrong people. and really look at where it's time for new belief systems, and new knowledge, and a new philosophy of life in order to move forward. So we also have Mercury ruling the Sun in Gemini at the time of this full moon. And Mercury is also sitting in Cancer, also having recently moved into Cancer and sitting there with Jupiter at this time. And Mercury is actually forming a sextile to Venus. And Venus is also brand new. Venus had her retrograde. She spent a long time in the sign of Aries, where she is actually not that comfortable because it's one of the furthest signs from her home sign of Libra. So also brand new. On the 6th of June, Venus now moved into her own home of Taurus. So Venus is comfortable here. She's in her element. She's connected to those Taurus qualities of nature and harmony and femininity. And so she can now bring all her best qualities in the sign of Taurus. And she is forming a sextile to Mercury. So there's a beautiful flowing conversation happening between Mercury and Venus at the time of this full moon, between the signs of Cancer and Taurus. And so there is a opening for us to see Venusian things in a new way, to have conversations, new insights, work with our mind, maybe do meditations on Venusian things, to get into our new belief systems and philosophies at this time. And then another really deep aspect that's happening at this time that I want to mention, that's also more tension and drawing out the depths, is a square between Pluto and Venus. So Venus is brand new in Taurus, and she is sitting at 4 degrees at the time of this full moon, and Pluto is retrograde, sitting at 3 degrees of Aquarius. So a square, like I said, is more tension. It forces us to grow and to see new things. Pluto draws up those things from our subconscious mind, from our unconscious, and it helps us to see new things. So where Venus may be working with creativity and with money matters and relationships in the house of Taurus, Pluto can show us those unconscious things that we need to release and let go of at the time of this full moon. So this is a very interesting full moon. There's such expansion. Sagittarius is a fast-moving fire sign. But then there's also all of these aspects with Saturn in the mix, squaring Jupiter, that might ask for us to stop and slow down and look at our belief systems, our philosophies and all of these things, and really go deeper. Pluto always asks us to go deeper. And with Pluto squaring Venus, especially with things related to Venus, which is relationships, money, our creativity, and things related to the feminine and to nature. So very dynamic energies in the mix at this full moon. And I think we can let go of a lot of old and really move into new belief systems, and with Jupiter being in this new place can really help us expand and grow in terms of our relationships and our family dynamics and all of these things. So I did a Ching reading for this full moon. I received 2 hexagrams, 30 with a changing line that then changed into number 21. So hexagram 30 is called radiance. It's so apt for this full moon in Sagittarius because of the fire sign element. It says you're on fire. Find a way to stay connected to the fire inside you. Light up the world with your enthusiasm, clarity, and vision. Discernment is needed. Make things conscious. Staying focused is very, very important at this time. Feel the melancholy, but don't indulge in it. And that's also a word I didn't use before that is very, very much related to Saturn. So with Neptune in Aries, we can feel also a real expansion, and we can feel so close to our dreams. And when Saturn brings in a kind of barrier or a no or a slowness, a slowing down to what is happening, it can bring a real sense of melancholy, because Saturn can often feel like you walking through thick mud, you know, like you kind of know where you're going, but it's a slow process to get there. So it's very important that we feel what's coming up, which can be a sense of sadness and melancholy, but don't get stuck in that place. And then it's hexagram 21 is called biting through. And this is all about the old language of when there is something tough that needs to be overcome. It's that force of forcing the jaw together to bite through something. So it says decisive energy is needed, not to be discouraged. Find a way to break through the barriers. So barriers again is something related to Saturn, and it says action is needed. So there is a point here where we really can take action. There's actually, come to think of it now that I hear the word action, there's another aspect I didn't mention in this chart that obviously wants to be mentioned at this time. And that is the fact that Mars is now at the end of Leo, 26 degrees of Leo, and it is squaring Uranus. And Uranus is sitting at 28 degrees, 38 minutes of Taurus. It is in a brand new energy in Taurus. It's the furthest it's come along in Taurus since the ingress in 2018. So, since I mentioned the word action, the fact that Mars is square to Uranus at this time, it can also bring decisive new things and insights in a tension-like way that can show us where to take action and how to move forward. So, this is a time of staying connected to where we want to go. Not getting stuck in feeling discouraged or melancholy, and being decisive and really deciding where we want to break through the barriers that are showing up, or the perceived barriers that might be showing up in our minds, where we need to change our philosophies and belief systems. And then the tarot card that showed up for this full moon in Sagittarius is the Six of Swords. And this is an interesting card because it really is a card about, you can see the troubled waters on this side and the more calm waters on the other side. But this is a card of transition. Whenever you see cards where people have their feet firm on the ground or on the land, that is a very stable and grounded energy. And these people are on the water. So this is a transition. They're in the boat. They're in between the land. They may not know exactly where they're going, but they have that land in front of them that they can see, and they can set course for the other side. So this card is all about transition, it's about change, and it's also a rite of passage. It's moving from where we were to now to where we want to go. It's a card of movement, and the message is also to go with the flow. The people sitting in the boat, they are going and they may not know exactly where the universe is steering them at this time, but they are ready to let go of the old and moving into a new place. So it's about leaving the known. It's about releasing your baggage. You can see it's just the people in the boat. They don't have baggage with them. They've left that behind. They're ready to go to a new place. So this is about choosing the new. It might be outside of your comfort zone, but know that newness is required at this time. Choosing new things, letting go of the old is all important at this time. So I'm so grateful for this guidance from the astrology and the Ching and the tarot. It all feels very relevant. And again, I thank you for being here. I really love making these videos. I hope it gives you insight and value into what is happening for us. And again, this is a great time of change. So self-care is so important. Look after yourself, rest if you need to, find a way to get good sleep if you can. And please like, share if you find value. Please leave a comment. And please look at my website and tap into my services if that is something that calls you. I will see you again next time.